the child started running, you will ask yourself, what's the mystery? No. This child is not an ordinary child. Sometimes you leave the child in the hospital from because the child is full of mystery. But when a child is born, and the first thing the child should do when it is born is to cry. Means he needs help. I don't understand where I am. Because where I was is not the same as where I am. So the child begins to do what? Begins to cry. That's the first thing the child does. Now, after cleaning up the child, you start breastfeeding the child. From breastfeeding to a point of developing the child to the point of adding water. Sometimes the child cries at midnight, sometimes the child wakes up. You keep petting, pampering, nurturing the child until the child becomes mature. The child is not mature at the age of 4. The child is not mature at the age of 3. The child is not mature at the age of 2. The child is not mature at the age of 7. It's not mature at the age of 10. It's not mature at the age of 15. It's still a child. But at different stages, there are levels of discipline at which you give, true of us. And different stages of the child, as the child is growing, there are different characters the child will begin to exhibit. So by God's grace, there are certain things God has brought us through, and there are certain things He wants us to learn, and that is one of the things we are going to be playing today. Sometimes on Wednesday I was angry with all of us, two of us. I sent it on our platform and I said, I cannot come to church on Wednesday. I could not see anybody on the evening service. I had to pray alone, pray and kabash, and do my normal routine and go. I started putting up some certain things God was telling me under that point. There are certain level of character when a child does or exhibits. It is on the responsibility of the father or the responsibility of the mother to start teaching the child what he or she has done was wrong. Sometimes it's not to spank the child, it's not to beat the child. It is sometimes for you to sit the child down at times with care and teach. Every child hears, even though you looked at the child and you think that the child does not hear. If you check a little baby, before you know what time she's looking at you or he's looking at you, at the time he's looking at you, whatever you're speaking to the child, he's hearing. How can Moses know, or how did Moses knew that he was not an Egyptian? Because when the mother was breastfeeding him, the mother was telling him, you are not an Egyptian, you are what? You are a Jewish boy. And he began to grow with that because subconsciously there is a sound which was hearing in his ear. And that sound became a message. And that message, he passed it into his heart. And when the time he needed it, he needed the full functions of that thing. He's beginning to see that I am not an Egyptian, I'm a Jewish boy. So he grew with that notion and he began to perform. Praise God. Praise the Lord. So what are we going to look into today? Commitment towards growth. We cannot run with speed if there is no development. Personally, let me say it this way. When you talk about personal speed, running on the unusual speed, or running in the speed, you cannot run in the speed when you have not mastered the art of speed. Or they master the art of acceleration. cannot run with the speed when you don't master the art. Let's look at Luke chapter 2, verse number 40 and verse number 52. Luke chapter 2, from verse 40 and verse number 52. All right. Verse 40. Give me 40 first. Luke 2, verse 40. Okay, let's read this 5. Okay, read that 40. Read that 40. Read that 40. Verse 40. All right. And the child grew and was strong in spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. And the child grew. And the child grew. And the child did what? Did they say, and the man grew? You don't grow when you don't grow as per height, as a man. It is only children that does what? That grows. A level of, if you are now a man, you are not expected that you are growing again. You are no longer growing. You are what you have to do is to grow depth, maturity. And we say this person is mature because of his sense of what? Reasoning. We don't call a child a man if he still behaves as a child. That is why most times when people look at you and consider, because your reasoning still behaves as if you are a child. Let me bring it to you. I don't want to spank us because our reasoning, AG Church and the man's reasoning is still as a child. Praise God. Our reasoning is still based on the childish dimension. And we cannot grow if we do not begin to develop ourselves in that mindset. That is why I wish everyone was in church. Because certain things I will say will help each and every one of us. When you understand those things, you understand that it will also help you in your personal life. It will help you in your business. It will help you in your family. What is growth? Growth is an increase in size, in height, and in depth. 3 levels or 3 dimensions to growth is that you must increase in height. Am I communicating? You must increase in what? Height. That means so the growth we are looking there is the height. We also have growth by size. We have growth by depth. Are we together? Growth by what? Height. Growth by what? Size. Growth by what? Depth. Your height is direct proportion to who you are born into. For instance, there are persons in the house. Their father is tall, their mother is tall. You don't expect them to be short, 2 of us. Hello? When your father is a tall man and your mother is a tall woman, what's the expectation? That the children will be what? Will be tall. And if the child is not tall, then he has what we call hormonal imbalance. And hormonal imbalance is as a result of what? Growth problem. So we need to trace the problem. Imagine, as Evangelist marries a lady who is as also tall as he is. Then, when they were giving birth, they give birth to a dwarf. When they give birth to a dwarf, there's a problem. Two things are involved. Is that the child has a hormonal imbalance, or the child is not from the environment? When the mom is a very tall person, and you getting it? It means that the child has a hormonal problem. The hormone does not the adrenaline does not supply the main thing that the baby needs to grow. And the baby becomes short. Or it is not actually him that gave birth to that boy. So when we look at the hereditary of a child, we determine or we know who gave birth to the child and why the growth of the child is the same, or is the same way, or is the same way. If my son grows tomorrow and I'm taller than him, he has a problem. Are we together? My son is not expected to be, he's not expected, and I'm not expecting him to be at my own height. At least he should be an inch above. Because that is how it is being predestinated. That is how it should be predestinated. No matter how we look at it, I know in my family, I'm the tallest. In my own family, I'm the tallest. No matter how it should, my daughter should not in any way be, if she should be below, she should be at my height. But she should be above me. That's growth. And what defines that is because in my gene, I have broken the record of being the tallest. So she should come above that. She should not come below. Even if she's taking a gene from my people, it should come on the basis that she should be in my own height. That's what I'm going. This morning, there are certain things which I wanted us. I wish, I'm still saying, I wish everybody is there. The reason why the growth we are experiencing is as a result of so many contaminations we have taken in. So our balances, our growth balances is not proper. I started checking those things and I believe that is the problem. We're going to find out these are the results. But before that, let me go further. Let me do the foundation so that we can speed up. There are 3 levels of growth. I said you increase in height, you increase in size, and you increase in what? In depth, which is a level of maturity and wisdom. When we talk about wisdom, we'll talk about height. How you grow in height is as a result of how to grow in height. You eat. You eat your regular food that can give you strong bone and you can grow, and all that. When you increase in size, if you are increasing in size, you know you eat. People who are adding weight by size is as a result they are feeding well and feeding very, very well. Hello?
Yes, sir.
People who have increased in size as a result, they are feeding very well and they are relaxed. And sometimes people who are increasing in size, not only are they feeding well, sometimes they are overfeeding. So overfeeding can make you to grow out of proportion. And it is not the time you are doing it that most times it happens. It happens when you reveal yourself is no longer controlling the level of your intakes. The level of your intakes you're no longer controlling. But when you are controlling the levels of your intakes, you look healthy. By size, you are okay. By size, you are okay. By maturity, you are also okay. You are sound. That's why you see this person, this person is healthy. You see this one? Having money is not a proof that you are healthy. There are people who have money but they are not healthy. But that's not my couch. We'll talk about how to be mature, the size of depth. Studying can give you maturity, depth, increasing in depth. Study. There are people who don't study in life. If I ask us from January till now, how many books we have read? How many of us can tell me how many books you've read? Have you read 5 books since this year? 3. How many books have you? 2. How many books? No. How many? You can't count them. I'm not saying short pamphlets. So if I ask you now questions on that book that you read, will you give me? I know sometimes it's very difficult for us to, most people no longer do a digital study. They use their e-phones, their Bible, their phones to read books. They have e-books in the libraries. So it's good to study because study gives you depth, maturity in the mind. It gives you sense of reasoning. There's difference between common sense and book sense. Am I complicated? There are persons, if you are sitting down with them and they're giving you wisdom, they're giving you counsel, it's not because they have common sense. There are persons who, if you see them read, they will bring you volumes of books, but when you are having a conversation with them, you know that they don't have anything upstairs. There are people who die, they will talk. But to do what they have said, they cannot. It's because they have book sense. These are the ones that have the theoretical aspect of knowledge. Yes, that's the theory. But in the practicals, they cannot. They cannot. Experience can give you levels of maturity. Experience. Sometimes people say experience is the best teacher. Experience is something experience is the best teacher. But sometimes experience is not the best teacher. There's an information is the best teacher. True of us. When you are informed, you will not be involved with certain things that come in place. Sometimes experience is not the best teacher. In fact, experience is not the best teacher. But we add experience that gives you maturity. There are certain things when it hits you, it makes your mind to come mature. There businesses you will do and you have losses, you grow maturity in it. Nobody will sit you down again to tell you, now you need to sit down and start calculating well. There are certain things when it hits you in life, by experience, it will sit you down. It will bring you down. It will make you to sit down and begin to think about your life. Yes. That's the story. Or you've been bragging about certain things, about certain development, or certain maybe. Okay, let me use myself as an instance. When I started this, I started that business. I was like, I started that business, and age money trying to know those things by because I just studied it for 3 weeks, and those 3 weeks were not consistent Monday to Saturday. I have specific days. So even the person who taught me said there are certain times, there are certain things you learn by experience in that business. When your pipe will pull from your nostril, when you are feeling, what do you do? Those things are learned by experience. Because ordinarily, when they are telling me, sometimes it will pull and say, I know what to do. But when it happened, I didn't know what to do. I was so confused. It happened the first time and it happened the second time. Now, when it happened the first time, I didn't know what to do. I was trying to run, but courage, I had to summon courage and lock. Now, when it happened the second time, I did not run. I stayed there and locked it. That's where I had this. So this is the mark of the experience. So experience can also do that. Number 3, what can give you maturity is commitment. 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 This is where I want to come. Commitment. All right. Can we flow as a church? Can we flow as a church? Okay. Let's start with the notion of the church. And this is a question I want to ask us. You are a member of a church on the mount. What do you know about the church? What do you know about the church? What does this church start? Because it is what you know that gives you the level of commitment to the house. It is what you know about the house gives you commitment to the house. When you don't know certain things about the house, you need to know to be committed. So what do you know about the church? That's why I wanted all of us to sit and take a breath on this note. Can you go off? Just go off.